There we go. Let me go check. Oh shit, hold on, I gotta turn on my other monitor. So I can read chat as well. Oh cool, it's not working, Crap, hold on. Give me 1 second. Gabe, keep him distracted.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. He is terrible with intros.
Okay. Alrighty, let's get this all worked out. Hi, Jesus. Alright, you ready, Gabe? We're marching?
Yep. I would like you to probably cut part out.
I can't cut
Since
that part out.
You can't cut that part out.
No, I'm live streaming. I can't just, like, cut out.
How dare. It's
just...
whatever.
Do you want me to call you by your name or not?
Nah, just do marching.
Okay, Gabe. Anyway, okay,
Bruh.
marching.
What?
These are the secret words which the living Jesus spoke, and which Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down. And he said,
"Whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death."
Cool.
That right there is why they believe that this book was a big part of early Christian belief.
Okay.
Because that is something
Fair
that's
enough.
preached in early Christian. It's something that's preached even in now Christianity.
As for the one who seeks, let him continue to seek until he finds. When he finds, he will become agitated. When he becomes agitated, he will be astounded, and he will reign over the all. If the ones who lead...
What's up?
Just continue. I'm
you
kind of...
should say to you, "See, the kingdom is in heaven," then the birds of heaven will precede you. If they say to you, "It is in the sea," then the fish will precede you. But the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will understand that you are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty.
So what do you think about that marching?
So it sounds a lot like they're dealing with perception, I think. Perception and goals in life. Okay.
Well, so when Jesus says here, in the passages before, you know, if ones who lead you should say to you, see the kingdom, it is in the heaven. Well, that is actually just, see the kingdom, it is in the sky, is what it's trying to get at. Then the birds will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. But the kingdom is inside, and it is outside of you. So it's inside and outside of you. When you know yourself, then you become known, and you will understand that you are the sons of the living Father. Now, it's kind of hard to fully be able to interpret this because some of it's kind of a bit of Gnostic, it has a bit of Gnostic mixed with it, because the Father, some people would say, is God, but if there's a father, there's a mother, and that actually does correlate with some Gnostics. But what it's talking about here is that the heaven, or to an extent the universe, and the kingdom of the Father, which is the universe, is found within inside of everybody. It's not in the sky, it is not in the sea, it is found within inside of yourself. And some of what Jesus will say in this gospel will soon kind of start to prove that point. But
Right, and I think that has to also come in with the idea of maybe everybody has like a little bit of divinity within themselves.
mm-hmm.
And I also think knowing yourself, that relates to encountering your shadow as well, I think. And then along with that, if you go back a little bit, it has something to do with seeking.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or I think what it doesn't really say it here, but in general, I know that if you are somebody who seeks to just have a just entertain yourself for your entire life and try to be happy, I mean, yeah, you might find like some fleeting happiness. I mean, that's what you do whenever you just watch like a comedy show all day or something. Like, oh yeah, that's really funny, that's great, but you're sitting down and it's not really fulfilling. And I think that is part of the point of religion is to try to is so that people can go ahead and try to live life to the fullest, and fullest meaning to live life being fulfilled. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But see, as for the one who seeks, let him continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become agitated. When he becomes
Right.
agitated, he'll be astonished, and
Yeah.
he will
So
reign over all.
that is essentially for whoever is um, seeking something that isn't fulfillment. Let them seek it out, and whenever they find out that this isn't what they are actually wanting to do with their lives, then that is whenever they will start to figure it out. It's basically saying if they have to act out the mistake of not trying to live a fulfilling life, then let them act it out so that they understand firsthand. Essentially, is what it's saying.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, when I hear that, I mean, a lot of people, when they seek something, I kind of look at it as truth. When somebody looks to find the truth, oftentimes they're agitated because the truth isn't what they want it to be. So
A
then you'll
lot of
keep
times, yeah.
trying to look and find what the truth is. Now, like for someone as me, I really relate to that quote because like I'm a biblical scholar, I'm a religious scholar at that. And a lot of times when you're trying to find things in the Bible, it's like when I try to find aspects of Yaldabaoth in the Bible or in the teachings of Jesus, and then I will find something that makes sense, but then I'll find something else that contradicts it. And I get agitated because I'm like, well, I can't shake the feeling that there's something more to this text. And I can't just like instantly say, okay, the Bible's right, because to me it can't just be right. There's something else to it. And I think a lot of people, it's like that. You get agitated when you don't get what you want. You don't get, when you're not right, you're agitated, you're mad. You want to find a way to be right. And a lot of people, and that's kind of what I think he's trying to get at, is, when he becomes agitated, he will be astound, and he will reign over all. Well, his agitatedness will precede him to go try to find the truth. When he finds the truth, he will understand everything. And because that's what truth is, it is an understanding of everything around us. Now, if Jesus was actually getting at that, I mean, the Gospel of Thomas is a very open-ended gospel, so maybe that is the truth is what sets you free, which Jesus says in the beginning, "Those who understand these words shall not taste death."
Yeah, I think that is mostly accurate. I don't think I have anything else to add upon that.
But I do want to say that with the last thing we have, but if you will not know yourself, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. So
Yeah. That's like if you never encounter your shadow, then you're not going to be the person that you would be if you did, and that
Right.
isn't. Yeah.
Right. If you never encounter your shadow, if you never become agitated, if you never seek the truth and not what you want to hear, then
you'll keep on living in a lie.
right, you keep living in a lie, and you are that lie that you are living in. I think,
and that's gonna be poverty in a
and
way.
I think a lot of Christians, I think, could really benefit from hearing something like that, because a lot of Christians, they jump to that assumption, or that, I am the only one who's right, my church is the only one who is right, but the lack of trying to understand the reality of other religions or the reality of other people oftentimes is what causes them to live in poverty, a poverty in which they are creating.
Yeah, debatably. I mean, I've already said multiple times that I don't really like how modern day Christians act, and how they're supposed to be acting if they're truly following their own faith. But it's to each their own. Everybody's their own individual. Everybody has their own personal cross to bear, quote unquote. So
Right.
yeah.
All right, we can continue.
And you will understand that you are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. The man old in days will not hesitate to ask a small child 7 days old about the place of life, and he will live. For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same. Recognize what is before your face, and that which is hidden from you will be revealed. For there is nothing hidden that will not become revealed.
I don't know why these things are in Korean or in Hebrew. Jesus, you have anything to say about that yet, Marching?
I don't know if there's anything to try to get from that. Go back to the previous slide.
Nah, it's just the poverty thing. So Jesus said, "The man old in days will not hesitate to ask a small 7-day-old about the place of life."
Man old in days will not hesitate to ask a small,
and he will live. For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same.
I think what that is. I think that is trying to communicate some sort of relation. I think just between like maybe old people who have family. I don't know. I don't know what message it's trying to say, but I know it has something to do with people who are at the end of their life that have a family who are
No.
still
Well,
might
with
have
this,
grandchildren.
it's
That's what I think, at least.
well with this. Well, hold on, let's just finish this thing before we discuss it. Oh crap! Hold on, computer's bugging.
They will become one and the same. Recognize what is before your face, and that which is hidden from you will be revealed. For there is nothing hidden that will not become revealed.
Do you want us to fast?
And how shall we pray?
Shall we give alms?
What kind of diet shall we observe?
Do not tell lies, and do not do what you hate. For all things are revealed before heaven. For there is nothing hidden which will not become manifest, and nothing covered will remain without being uncovered. Blessed is the lion which the man will eat. So
This is interesting. His disciples questioned him and said, "Do you want us to fast? And how shall we pray? Should we give alms? What kind of diet should we observe?" And then Jesus says, "Do not tell lies, and do not do what you hate, for all things are revealed before heaven." Now, I'm kind of stuck on the revealed before heaven thing. What do you think that means?
It's essentially saying don't do things that you are going to regret in life. And if you are living, say if you are living in a lie, or you do something which is sinful and try to cover it up, then that is something that will be revealed in heaven. So it means that it will be noticed. Like even if you get away with something that is very like heinous, then it will be noticed, is what it means.
Is that what he's saying,
Or
though?
yeah, it's like, okay, you think you're there's this geez, I forgot what book it was called. There was a book which detailed, a really old book which detailed how someone was able to justify committing a murder, and that justification, they finally did it after they justified to themselves that the only thing that's stopping them from committing this murder is some sense of efficacy and morality which is hindering them. So they throw it away, they do the murder, and they get away with it. They get away with it in the eyes of the law. But what the book details is how they really still feel extremely guilty, and how they are, even though they're able to get away with it in the eyes of the law, they are still not able to get away with it in their own conscious. And that's very that's something that you wouldn't expect, because he's the one that did it in the first place. But really, I think what the point is along with having a small part of divinity within everybody else, that means that if you are going to do something which is immoral, then that part of the divinity that is inside you will start to reject you, is essentially what it is. And that's part of that guilty feeling that you get whenever you do something you know is wrong, but you do it anyway.
Right. And my number one thing I've always had was that I'm more about it. The truest evil in the world is knowing that you're doing something wrong and still doing it anyways. But do not see. What catches me is I would say, like, I would understand the do not tell lies, but then and do not do what you hate. I guess Jesus is implying that, you know, if the Romans say go to war, then, you know, do not do what you do not agree with. Don't go to war that you're not fighting for, essentially. You know, for all things are revealed before heaven. But that's actually not too far from what the Egyptians... that's literally exactly what the Egyptians believed. Do not tell lies, and do not do what you hate. If you do something that you hate, or that you regret, then whenever you would die and have to confess your sins to the council of the dead, then you would be unable to move on because your heart would weigh too heavy. If you lied to the council...
And then it would be eaten by some
Sobek.
mythical dog. Yeah.
No, it was not Anubis who ate the heart. It was Sobek.
I didn't say Anubis.
You
I just
said
said a
dog.
mythical dog.
Yes,
Yeah.
the only mythical dog is Wepa Weta and Anubis.
Okay, then what was Sobek? An alligator or something? Okay, my bad. A mythical alligator or crocodile.
Yeah, but I mean that's exactly what they said in Egypt. So I guess do not tell lies and do not do what you hate. I mean that's just straight out of Egypt. Like that's just straight out of Egypt.
It's also something that just sounds extremely like what should be just common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, if you hate something,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Right.
So,
for there's nothing hidden in which will not become manifest, and nothing covered with closed captions, and nothing covered will remain without being uncovered. So basically stating, you know, whenever you die, everything will be revealed to you. Whatever you did will manifest, and you will have... It's literally like, hey, face your shadow. That's basically what you'll have to fight yourself.
Or maybe not even when you die, but maybe when you're still living. It'll uncover and fuck you up later.
I mean, yeah, that is true.
Blessed is the lion which the man will eat, so that the lion becomes man. And cursed is the man whom the lion will eat, so that the lion becomes a man.
Huh.
The man is like a wise fisherman who threw his net into the sea and drew it up from the sea. It was full of small fish. Among them the wise fisherman found a good, large fish. He threw all the small fish back into the sea, and without much trouble chose the large fish. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear.
Okay.
There's a lot to unpack with that.
That's... Dang. Trying to figure out what the meaning behind these like metaphors are really hard.
Bro, Jesus is like that's just what Jesus spoke in. The man literally just speaks living metaphors.
Okay, I want to go back though, because I was trying to unpack
the lion
thing, and then the fish just did like a
blessed is the lion
double,
which the man will eat, so that the lion becomes man. Hold on.
Okay, no, I don't think this is some sort of furry fantasy. No, I was saying this isn't some sort of furry fantasy.
Oh.
I think what he is essentially saying is if you have the choice to eat or be eaten, it's better to kill the lion than the lion kill you.
Hold on.
I think that's what it is.
Let's replace lion with pride, because that's a big symbolism for lions or pride. Blessed is the pride which the man will eat, so that the pride becomes man. And cursed is the man whom the pride will eat, so that the pride becomes a man. They sound very similar, but the meaning is different. So the man eats the lion, the man swallows his pride. In the vice versa sense, the lion eats the man, and but the pride eats the man and overcomes that person. I think it's a message about swallowing pride. which was not too far from the time and what was happening with, obviously, the Roman Empire. They were very overly prideful and very conquering.
I really hope nobody Rule 32s this clip. Anyway.
Does that make sense to you?
Let me read it one more time. Hold on. Okay. So I think along with it's better to eat instead of being eaten, if we are going to go along with your pride metaphor along with this lion and man metaphor, it's also saying that it is cursed to let pride control you is what it could also be saying.
Yeah, well, that's what the saying is when you
Yeah.
replace lion with pride. You know, blessed is the lion. Blessed is the
So if
pride.
you have pride, that's fine. But if you let pride control you, then that is weakness and that is cursed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pride is one of the deadly sins.
The man is like a wise fisherman who threw his net into the sea and drew it up from the sea. It was full of small fish. Among them the wise fisherman found a good, large fish.
That's so easy to interpret. That's just saying that I threw my net in and I had a whole net full of small fish, but because it's a bunch of small fish, it's in reality one big fish.
No, I don't think that's what it is. I think what it is saying is instead if you have a large fish but you took a lot of small fish, it is going to be better to only just eat one because it adds some more text later. It's better to just eat the one large fish and let all the small fish go back into the water so that the small fish will eventually grow up to become larger fish. I mean, that's at least the very literal sense. I don't know if there's some other metaphor that could be drawn with this.
He threw all the small fish back into the sea, and without much trouble chose the large fish. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear.
Yeah, I got nothing with that.
Gosh damn it, why did he speak in all these metaphors?
Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear.
So he threw all of the small fish back into the sea, and without much trouble chose the large fish. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. What does that mean? Okay, we get it.
Wait,
Take the large fish, not the small, so the small fish shall grow bigger. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. What does that mean? Jesus, what does that have to do with fish?
literally the only metaphor that I could think of is maybe he's trying to describe what you should do whenever you like try to find like a wife, but comparing women to fish for some reason.
I mean, that's not too. I mean, maybe if we applied it to a modern day standard, I don't think Jesus like knew what the fuck the saying, "plenty of fish in the sea" meant.
I mean, maybe it's. I think this is literally like the most literal. I don't know what else to do this, but just take that in a literal sense. I don't know what metaphor he's trying to say here
I
at
guess
all.
you can see. I guess we're not gonna have. I guess we're gonna taste death then, because like we can't figure out all the Jesus metaphors.
Oh my
All
god!
his 1,600 metaphors. He threw. He threw his net into the sea. Okay, so a man throws himself into people, and he drew it up from the sea. It was full of a bunch of people that were not worth his time. Among them, the wise fisherman found a good person. He threw all of the other people away into the sea without much trouble, chose the right person. Whoever has I'm just gonna take it as a literal sense. Maybe you can interpret it like that, but there's just I mean I guess they're both over. That's some other interpretations you can make, but I don't think that's what Jesus was getting with that passage. But I think
Also, it might be weird in translation, but notice how it says "let him hear," not "let them hear."
whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. They used him a lot back then, but a lot of times him kind of meant like man.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Because like even in some modern day senses, if you say like mankind, you're not going to say womankind too. Mankind's supposed to be all of humanity. So
Right.
it's yeah.
To hear, let him hear. See, the sower went out, took a handful of seeds and scattered them. Some fell on the road, and the birds came and gathered them up. Others fell on the rock, and they did not take root in the soil, and did not yield ears. And others fell on the thorns. They choked the seed, and worms ate them. Still, others fell on the soil that was good, and this produced good fruit. For it bore 60 per measure, and 120 per measure. I have cast fire upon the world.
Okay, God, this is like a headache trying to decipher. Oh my God.
So I will say that passage is actually in the Bible. I don't know where, but I do remember that passage specifically.
Marching we're only
As
4
far
fucking minutes in.
as far as what it is supposed to be about, it's probably just saying you should throw your seed where there will be good soil for farmers,
Some
I
fell on
guess.
the road.
And
The birds
in
came.
some metaphorical sense, just try to,
Root
I don't
in the
know.
soil and did not yield ears. Okay. Others fell on the rocks. They did not take root in the soil. Okay, so this is simple. We see the sower went out. He took a handful of seeds and he scattered them. The ones that fell on the road, the birds came and gathered them up. So the birds came and ate them. Others fell on the rocks. They did not take root in the soil and did not yield ears. Basically stating when he threw the seeds out and they hit the rocks, obviously they did not plant. They did not, go into the soil. And others fell on thorns. They choked the seeds and the worms ate them. Still, others fell on the soil that was good for this produce good fruit for it to bear. So, I wish Jesus didn't speak in metaphors. So, with this right here involving the situation of the seeds being scattered everywhere, it is kind of telling you almost, it's an idea of to be successful, you need to know where you're planting your seeds. The places that the farmer threw them, there were a bunch of different analogies or different places that the seeds were being thrown. He threw them on the rocks, but they don't plant. There's like an impasse, I'd say. They hold you back from planting yourself. The seeds hit a rock. They don't do anything. You throw them on the road, you throw them to other people. I'm trying. This is difficult. I'm thinking that the main message behind this is plant yourself where you know you'll succeed. That's what I think Jesus was trying to say.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. I don't think I have any other ideas of what this could possibly be.
Just good
Uh,
fruit.
Go on.
For it bore 60 per measure, and 120 per measure. I have cast fire upon the world, and see, I am watching it until it blazes. This heaven will pass away, and the one above it will pass away too. The dead are not living, and the living will not die. In the days when you ate what is dead, you made it into something alive. When you come to exist in the light, what will you do? On the day you were one, you became two. But when you become two, what will you do?
Well, there's a lot to
Okay.
unpack with that. We can definitely go back to the first quote. Which
Yeah,
was,
let's go back to the fire.
I have-
So I would love to say that this is Jesus being chaotic evil and setting the world ablaze, but unfortunately that's not it. No, I think fire a lot of times has a symbolizes some sort of like redemption and truth and light, essentially. So whenever he says he sets the world ablaze, he essentially means that he is, in some way, shape, or form, bringing light to the world. Which
think
I mean,
that's
it fits the narrative of him being like a dawn bringer. So
that's not too far from the truth, but I will say that I have cast fire upon the world, and see, I am watching it until it blazes. Part of me thinks that it's also like a very literal quote, because when Jesus came to earth and when Jesus was here, he was very, very controversial. He did, at many cases, cause a blaze. He made a big stir in the Jewish community, and he made a big stir with the Roman people. By all means, he's like 100% right. He did all of that. He did cast fire on the world, and he's watching it fucking burn. He did all of this.
yeah, maybe it's meant to be both a little bit. I mean, it does kind of make sense because I mean, even in it, like whenever we think of fire, we don't really think of nice, tranquil, peaceful, um, more chaotic and crumbling.
You could
It goes hand in hand, right?
right. Well, you could
But
always interpret it like like a big analogy I always have is the flames of judgment, or the flames of righteousness.
yeah,
I've casted my own righteousness upon the world, and see, I am watching it until it ablazes. Unfortunately, that goes against some of what Jesus actually taught.
how so?
So Jesus, well, if you are casting righteousness upon the world, you leave yourself questioned for what makes your righteousness correct. And just because he's Jesus doesn't necessarily give him a pass.
Okay, whatever.
Why is Jesus the Messiah? Because Jesus says so. Sorry.
Okay, next one. Or what was the other one after that?
The next quote.
Oh God, yeah.
This heaven will pass away, and the other one above it will pass away too. The dead are not living, and the living will not die. In the days when you ate what is dead, you made it into something alive. That's very easy to interpret. I mean, in the beginning, this heaven will pass away. Jesus was... Some of the beliefs of Jesus, especially in the Gospel of Thomas, was that heaven is not a... the heaven, we live in heaven. That's what Jesus thought. We live in heaven. we live in... Jesus said that earth was heaven. But this heaven will pass away. And the heaven before it will pass away. And the dead are not living, and the living will not die. In the days when you ate what is dead, you made it into something alive. Now, when you eat a dead animal, you technically do make it alive, because you make it a part of you, and you are alive. Basically, the idea is you are turning what is dead into something alive. And this, to me, is Jesus stating that we as people can make heaven become a reality, and we can make that heaven whatever we want, which is not too far from what the Jewish people believed at the time. The whole concept that when you go to heaven, you get to go to your own little personal heaven, that's a Jewish concept.
Now, what's confusing me is on the day you were one, you became two, but when will you become two? What will you do? What do you think that is?
When you come to exist in the light, what will you do? On the day you were one, you became two, but when you become two, what will you do? Well, there's always two sides to everybody, personally. When you exist in the light, you can see the reflection of your shadow. When you see your shadow, you are two. When you are two, you are faced with who you are. How are you to overcome what you are, is the question you'd ask. I find it so ironic that I came up with the concept of those shadow people, and then I'm reading this, and I'm like, this is everything I fucking wrote shadows were like. They are you. They are the inside of you. They are reflections of what you are. But that's the biggest thing, and I'm even going to kind of use the Persona 4's analogy. When you are faced with your shadow, you will always reject it, because you will not be able to understand. It's something that you don't want to understand or see, because you don't want to accept that it is you. Do you reject who you are? Do you reject your insecurities? Or do you try to come to terms with it and understand who you are? Because you cannot overcome your insecurities by rejecting them. You have to own up to them. Does that make sense?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what else to get from this, though.
Alright, we can keep going then.
When you come to exist in the light, what will you do? On the day you were one, you became two. But when you become two, what will you do?
Sorry.
We know that you will be going from us. Who is going to be our leader?
Whatever point you come to, you should go to James the Righteous. On his account, heaven and earth came into existence. Compare me to someone else and tell me whom I am like.
You are like a righteous angel.
You are like a wise philosopher.
Teacher, my mouth is entirely incapable of saying whom you are like.
I am not your teacher. Since you have imbibed, you have become drunk on the bubbling spring which I have measured out.
What did Jesus say to you?
Were I tell you even one of these things which he told me, you would pick up stones and throw them at me, and a fire would come out of the stones and consume you.
That was a lot to unpack.
Okay. So, first off, who the fuck is this James dude? Because he
James
said...
the Righteous. Let me look it up on Google real quick.
That's interesting there.
Also, as I open my phone, there's like a Quora post of somebody stating that the Bible is true because the Bible says the earth is not flat. I'm sorry.
Does it say that?
In Isaiah. James, the brother of Jesus. James the just, or variations of James, brother of the Lord, was a brother of Jesus according to the New Testament. He was the early leader of the Jerusalem church of the Apostle Age.
Huh, that sounds like an important figure that I've never heard of.
Why has no one ever heard of this James, whom the people of old called the just because of his outstanding virtue, was the first, as the record tells us, to be elected as an apostolical throne of Jerusalem church. Jesus' half-brother. I can't believe Jesus had a brother. What?
Yeah, Mary had other children other than Jesus. Not a lot of people know.
Damn!
Yep.
Damn! What the fuck?
Yep.
She got fucking busy, bro. Wait, how is she a
Yeah.
virgin?
Well, a virgin when she had Jesus, at least.
So Jesus was the older brother.
Yeah, Jesus was the oldest.
Why do we... Oh my god. Well, that just kind of paints Jesus in a different light. Jesus had brothers. Damn. Mary got busy. She's like Joseph. Somehow, we failed the first time. Now, we're going to succeed. Get in me.
And too.
If you fast, you will cause yourself to die. Alright, so... James the Just, which is basically saying, you know, he was Jesus' like half-brother. You are like a wise philosopher and teacher. My mouth is entirely incapable of saying whom you are like.
Yeah, Jesus didn't like that answer.
Jesus doesn't like that answer.
Jesus said, "I am not your teacher, you fucking dumbass."
I am not your teacher, since you have embitted. You have become drunk of the bubbling spring which I have measured out. Thomas, okay, so who did he take? He took...
Simon, Peter, and Matthew.
Well, it says Matthew asked him. He said his companions. He took Thomas. But when Matthew said, "Hey, I think you were a wise," we have Thomas saying, "Teacher, I am not your teacher, since you have embitted." I think I kind of understand what Jesus is getting at here. So essentially, he's saying, I'm not your teacher because you should be able to understand what I'm saying without me telling it to you. Therefore, you are drunk off of what I said you'd be drunk off of.
I think it's just Jesus calling Thomas a dumbass.
Probably. Withdrew him and told him 3 teachings. When Thomas returned, his companions, they asked him, "What did Jesus say to you?" Thomas said, "Were I to tell you even one of these things, which he told me, you will pick up stones and throw them at me, and the fire will come out of the stones and consume you." Basically stating that if he said even one of the things Jesus said, their own pride will consume them.
Interesting.
Or their own righteousness will consume them.
Let's see what he told Thomas.
We don't know what he told Thomas.
It's not going to be in the Gospel of Thomas.
It'll never tell you what he told Thomas.
Damn.
One of these things which he told me. you would pick up stones and throw them at me. And a fire would come out of the stones and consume you.
If you fast, you will cause yourself to sin. If you pray, you will be self-condemned. And if you give alms, you will inflict harm on your spirits. When you go into each land and walk in the districts, if they should receive you, eat what they put before you, and heal the sick among them.
Well, that's a contradiction to what he just first said. If you fast, you will cause yourself to sin. If you pray, you will be self-condemned. And if you give alms, you will inflict harm on your spirit. When you go into each land and walk in the districts, if they should receive you, eat what they put before you and heal the sick among them. I'm being honest, I don't actually think Jesus healed the sick by the touch of his hand. I think that was entirely a metaphor. I think Jesus just knew good remedies that could help heal sick people. And I think that's what he's implying here.
You know, there's a story that someone came to Jesus and literally just asked them to tell them that their like dying relative in their house would be healed. And Jesus was like, okay, let's go to the house. And they went, oh no, you're too holy to step foot in the house. Just say the word, and their soul shall be healed. And Jesus was like, they're healed. And then that person in that said house was healed
I have to
without
read.
Jesus entering into the house. I'm telling that's what the story says.
I know, that's what the story... That's such a bold claim. Jesus is like, oh, nope, sorry, I can't step in this house. I'm too holy. Just
No,
say
Jesus didn't say that. The person that told Jesus, the person that was asking for help told Jesus that he's too holy to enter the house. And Jesus said that your faith in me has healed them, essentially. And then they were healed.
What happened after? Like, how were they healed? That's what I want to know. Did they like get up and start walking again?
Faith.
I see.
Magic bullshit.
I see. This is a perfect thing. Magic bullshit. Yeah, Jesus was a witch. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it's like wizards in D&D. Just like spells, go, do stuff. Yay.
If you fast, you will cause yourself to sin. If you pray, you will become self-condemned. And if you give alms, you will inflict harm on your spirit.
Yeah.
Go to each land and walk in the district. If they should receive you, eat what they put before you. So basically,
Yeah.
if people don't reject you, then help them and accept
Sure,
what they're doing.
but the
But-
first part seems extremely conflicting with
The very
what
beginning.
with everything else. Because if it says if you pray you will be self-condemned, then the question is, then why would the church tell everybody to pray? And the answer is, well, they tell people to pray. This thing says you are going to condemn yourself. And that's probably, I don't know, that might be why it's not in the Bible. This is my
I
guess.
feel like there's a bigger
And-
meaning to this.
There probably is, but
If you if you fast, what does that even mean to fast?
to not eat.
If you do not eat,
To not eat for a like a specific period of time, basically.
why would somebody fast?
I believe that a lot of like stark Christians, especially like back 100 years ago, would actually fast for 40 days and 40 nights to basically to symbolize what I think Jesus going into the desert or the Israelites going into the desert, something like that. Just more of like a tradition thing. That's any other reasons to fast? I don't know.
I
To
know
lose
some people
weight,
do it for
I
weight
guess.
loss, but that's like
Right.
about it. If you fast, you will cause yourself to sin. If you pray, you will be self-condemned. If you give alms, you'll be inflicted harm by yours. I think the meaning here is if you pray, you will be self-condemned. If you give, I think. Let me ask you, why would somebody need to pray?
Mm,
Perhaps what I think Jesus is trying to say here is that don't ask for something, achieve it yourself. Don't ask for the sick to be healed, heal them yourself. Don't fast because you think that's what you should do. Eat because you know you should. Eat and be respectful. Like it says, eat what they put before you. You know, and give alms, you know. If you give alms, it's don't do it in the name of Lord, do it in the name of yourself.
okay. So you're thinking that this is a call to reject superstition and a call for action to do what you're supposed to be doing, essentially.
Yes. Do it because
Okay.
you know you should, not because you are told you should.
And don't rely on superstitions. Okay. Yeah,
For what
sure.
goes into your mouth will not defile you, but what comes out of your mouth is what will defile you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you see him who was not born of woman, lie prostrate on your faces and worship him. He is your Father. Perhaps men think that it is peace which I have come to cast upon the world. They do not know that it is division I have come to cast upon the earth. Fire, sword, and war. For there will be 5 in a house, and it will be a matter of 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. Father against son, and son against father, and they will stand as a solitary.
Okay.
I shall give you.
Oh, when you see him who was not born of a woman, lie prostrate on your face and worship him. He is your Father.
Uh,
What? Okay. That's just talking about somebody who was born from a god. But I guess Jesus is talking about himself?
no, because Mary still birthed Jesus. She was just a virgin. Uh, uh,
Jesus, why? When you
who?
see him who is not born of a woman, when you see him who was not born of a woman, prostrate your face and worship him. He is your
Do you know what
Father.
that means?
No.
To lie prostrate on your face means to basically bow down and have your face parallel to the floor.
So bow down and worship him. He is your Father. Let's look at the second one. Perhaps men think that it is peace which I have come to cast upon the world. They do not know what that it is division I have come to cast upon the world, earth. Fire, sword, and war, which are all things that Jesus is right. He did do all of those things. He absolutely did all of those things, except it was his faith who did these things. The number I like to okay, I want to make a point here. If Jesus is absolutely right, because there's one thing that both Christians and Muslims will never agree on, and that is who is Jesus. Jesus is literally the reason that they are so divided.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And Jewish people are divided with Christians because of Jesus. He literally separated all three Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
But now the problem is that, I mean, I'm still gonna have to say that Jesus might be Yaldabaoth. I'm just telling you. There's definitely a case to make.
That's probably another reason why this gospel is not in the Bible.
Well, this gospel is not.
That line's really.
Didn't Jesus also say in the Bible, "I have not come here to bring peace but a sword"? I was here to.
I don't know.
I was here to. I remember this. I am not here to bring peace but a sword. I am here to divide men among families, and children among parents. Jesus was here to divide people.
Damn, he's good at his job.
Damn, I know, bro. Give him a raise.
All right. Okay. What's the next line again?
For there will be 5 in a house, and it will be a matter of 3 against 2, and 2 against 3, father against son, and son against father, and they will stand as solitary. Oh my gods. This is absolute. Hold on. 5 in a house, and it will be in a matter of 3 against 2. Oh, but 3 against 2. But 5 in a house. There were 5 big belief systems. 2 of them were persecuted out of existence, so it realistically became 3 against 2. Well, we had.
Are you talking about Canaan and Sethians?
No. Okay, so there were 5. There's 5 people in a house. So there's 5 people in a house, and there's 5 different sects that believe in Jesus differently. You have the Jewish people. They don't believe that Jesus was a Messiah. You have Muslims. They think he was a prophet. Christians. They think he was the Lord and Savior. Gnostics. They think he was the embodiment of Sophia. There's just like one more, but I think there was another belief system that thought of Jesus not as the Messiah, but as a rabbi. There were 5 major belief systems that all saw Jesus vastly different than each other. However, 2 of them would be persecuted out of existence: apostates and Gnostics. Now, of course, there were other belief systems we don't actually know, but I'm pinpointing the 5 that we can know. There's a whole bunch of different sects. I'm looking at the ones that mostly made the biggest rise in the matter of 3 against 2. But it'll be a matter of 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. That makes perfect sense. 3 against 2, 2 against 3. Both Islam and Christians are against the Jewish people. They're father against son. Judaism created Christianity and Islam. They are against the beliefs of Christianity and Islam. The son against the father. Obviously, the 2 sons are against Judaism, because it's not what they believe in. Because Judaism does not believe that Jesus was a prophet or that Jesus was a Messiah. But they all stand at solitary, despite the fact the constant war that they go at. But just as much as Muslims and Christians have gone at Jews, they have also gone at each other. They're all at solidarity because they're all at a war with one another. It's not wrong.
I don't think that's what the meaning is.
Well, I'm saying, Jesus, there might be a bigger meaning behind this.
So, I'm not saying this is it, but what I was thinking of when he said 3 against 2 and 2 against 3, if they're in a house and there is a group of two, and in that group of two there is a father. The other one is probably going to be a mother. So I was thinking of this more as maybe an internal conflict between generations, not necessarily. Now that being said, that explains why there's a group of two, but why is there a group of three? No idea. I don't know.
But
But
that's why I think. I mean, I get it that the generations would be divided. They have always been divided. Jesus isn't speaking like a prophet. They've always been divided. New generations will never get along with older generations because older generations don't give a fuck about what the newer generations are. But what I'm saying is, I think it represents in putting it in modern day perspective. Judaism is the father of Islam and Christianity. They both stand against the Jewish belief system, and the Jewish belief system stands against them. But they're also against each other. So they all stand in solitary.
I don't think that's it, but I don't know what else it would be either. So
I mean, I think your analogy's not wrong. I hope you don't think that. Like, I think you have a pretty good idea that generations will be divided. But I think that when it comes to fire, sword, and war, those are... Was he fucking Thor? At this given point, I'm convinced Jesus was just Thor reincarnate.
no, it does give a call forward maybe, at least to it echoes with the Civil War, how a son would be fighting against his brother or father. But yeah, just I don't know.
All right,
Let's go on.
Yeah.
A house, and it will be a matter of 3 against 2, and 2 against 3, father against son, and son against father, and they will stand as a solitary.
What does that mean?
I shall give you what no eye has seen, and what no ear has heard, and what no hand has touched, and what has never entered into the human heart.
Tell us what sort of end we will have.
So, you have discovered the beginning, with the result that you...
Let's talk about this. I shall give you what... I mean, I don't think we need to talk about it too much. This is pretty a straightforward one. I shall give you what no eye has seen, and what no ear has heard, and what no hand has touched, and what has never entered the human heart. I shall give you truth. Or at least that's what what do you think Jesus might have been trying to say there?
Jesus was a drug dealer that gave crack cocaine to people.
Oh my gosh, you think that too?
An opioid of the masses.
Disciples said to Jesus, no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no hand has touched, and what has never entered the human heart. I mean, I don't always agree with I don't agree with the Bible's teachings of Jesus, but some things he says here are really interesting.
Into the human heart.
Tell us what sort of end we will have.
So, you have discovered the beginning, with the result that you are now seeking the end. For the place where the beginning is, there will the end be as well. Blessed is he who makes his stand in the beginning, for he will know the end, and will not taste death.
So I think that he is talking about here's an idea. So here's a question then, rather. Are people archaic and old, or are people young and new?
Good question. But I don't know if it's talking about old people and new people. But go on with the analogy.
So the answer is all of us are the human race, right? Is very, very old and archaic. But what's happening is we are continuously being, well, born again because we are continuously keeping humanity alive.
Right.
So we are old things that are continuously being born again and again and again, is what the answer is. So as far as if you are, I think that's kind of what the message of this metaphor here, is that maybe if your body dies doesn't necessarily mean that your actual spirit is going to die along with it.
So you have
Kind of.
discovered the beginning. You have discovered the beginning with the result that you are now seeking the end. For the place where the beginning is, there will the end be as well. Blessed is he who makes his stand in the beginning, for he will know the end and will not taste death. Blessed is he who makes his stand in the beginning. The end and will not take. This is
Right. So if you have the perception and the emphasis on death all of the time, then he's saying then your spirit is going to die whenever you die. But if you have the perception and emphasis on new beginnings, it's like, okay, how should you view death? And you can view death as an end, or you can view death as a new beginning. And he's saying that if you view death as a new beginning, then you are not going to die. Then your spirit's not going to
beginning with the result
wither
that
and
you are
die.
now seeking the end.
And
I think I'm agreeing with I'm agreeing with what you're saying because it makes sense. Because
yeah, and it's poetic. It's also poetic in a sense because you start where you end where you started.
Right.
Like,
oh,
yeah.
The message. Discovered the beginning with the result. I mean, see, I kind of understand that because like when I go through, I have my own belief system. I kind of call phoenixism, and one of my biggest things is that every year, every spring, I die and am reborn. But every winter, when I feel like my birth has, kicked off, I start wanting the spring to come again, which is I discovered the beginning and now I want the end to happen so I can be born again in a sense. And blessed is he who stands in the beginning, for he will not know the end, nor will he taste death. So I guess death just doesn't affect people who always stand in the beginning. Because you don't, if technically that is a very poetic thing, because it's like, I mean, think like you said, think about it. Or do you view death as the end, or do you view death as a new beginning? Well, if you view it as a new beginning, you might die, but is it ever really the finale? It's like One Piece, it's just the anime that keeps telling you it's going to end, but it never ends. It's just always starting a new arc. It's always the beginning.
Very much.
All right, let's continue.
End, and will not taste death. Blessed is he who came into being before coming into being. If you become my disciples and listen to my words, these stones will serve you. Indeed, there are 5 trees for you in paradise. They remain undisturbed summer and winter, and their leaves do not fall. Whoever would know them will not taste death.
Pause it. Did it fucking... Okay. Did you see this beforehand? I'm kind of shook. Because you just said something about seasons and death and
No,
rebirth,
I
and
did
then
not.
it went to seasons.
I did not read. I only read bits and pieces of it, and this was not one of them.
Officially shook.
I'm officially a prophet. Boom. Blessed is he who came into the beginning before coming into being. If you become my disciples and listen to my words, these stones will serve you. Indeed, there are 5 trees for you in paradise. They remain undisturbed summer and winter, and the leaves do not fall. Whoever would know them will not taste death.
Okay, so there's the number 5 again.
Oh, hold on. Oh my god, no, this proves something else that I didn't tell you about this, but when I was constructing a bit more of my belief system, I said that there were 2 times in which people die, depending on what kind of phoenix you are internally. There are people who die in the wintertime, and there are people who die in the summer. There are some people who feel more resigned with the cold and darkness of winter, but others who feel more energized by the warmth of the summer sun and the beginning of the new season. So it proved I proved my point from a while back that I had, was that there are 2 different kinds of people who die. There are people who die in the summer and people who die in the winter.
I don't know. I think that's just called what's it called again? Depression that is dependent on seasonal depression. There
I
you
wouldn't
go.
call it that. I mean, I die in the wintertime because I just don't resign with the wintertime. This is kind of like when I start to realize everything that happened in the, like, I start to, like, every winter I start thinking about things that happened through the year. And that's kind of like, it's kind of like a life flashing before your eyes thing, and I reflect on how much I've grown.
I mean, a lot of people do that because of New Year's too, anyway.
Well,
But...
yeah, but some people who resign more with winter will die in the summer, not the winter, so they'll be reflecting.
You might want to start putting up a notepad for how many times it references 5, by the way, because it said, okay, so first off, there were a household of 5, and then it would say that there would be a conflict between 2 people and 3 people, and of the 2, there would be a father, which would be in conflict with the son being part of the 3 group, I think. Now it's saying there are 5 trees for you in paradise. They remain undisturbed summer and winter. Their leaves do not fall. Whoever would know the 5 trees in paradise will not taste death.
And there's not 5 seasons, there's only 4 seasons.
Right, but there's 5 trees, which are undisturbed in summer and winter.
Meaning they do not change no matter the season, for the trees do not die.
Interesting, because I think 5 is also the pentagram as well. Lucifer vibes. Ooh. Anyway, go on.
Indeed, there are 5 trees for you in paradise. They remain undisturbed, summer and winter, and their leaves do not fall. Whoever would know them will not taste death. Whoever is to know what the 5 trees are will not taste death. And the real question is, what are the 5 trees?
Yeah. No idea.
Before coming into being, if you become my disciples and listen to my words, these stones will serve you. Indeed.
So I will say he's using terminology which is very orderly. So stones, if you put something in stone, it's going to be there. The hope is forever. That's why Moses put the commandments on stone. Trees are also a symbol of orderliness. I mean that's why in at least Norse mythology, you have the tree, the tree of the world tree, and then you have the snake, which is constricting around the world tree, trying to eat at it and using its poison to suffocate it, essentially. And those are very archaic ideas. So the any symbolism of trees is always with order, and any symbolism with snake or dragons is always chaos normally. So there are five. So you could say there are five orders in paradise, as well, perhaps, maybe,
Perhaps. I'm trying to
which
think.
are undisturbed within the seasons.
I'm just trying to think what the trees are. I'm trying to think if there might be any correlation to seasons.
The seasons are only there to show that they are strong, because
Right.
normally trees wither in winter, but these do not.
But summer? They don't really wither in summer.
Yeah, but there could be harsh weather in summer.
Well, actually, no. Think about it as in trees. I mean, view it at a very less complicated point because there are some trees that bear fruit in summer. Think of it as a tree that bears fruit only in spring. Or like a tree that would bear fruit in spring. So even though the summer comes, the fruit of the tree does not falter. The tree does not stop growing fruit. And in winter, the tree does not lose its leaves, nor does it stop bearing fruit.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
The leaves in the
Unless they're like Christmas trees.
yes,
Oh.
unless they're pine trees, Gabe. Or marching. Whoever will know them will not taste death. It's literally just knowing what the fuck the five trees are. Which I don't.
This is the new campaign.
Find
The
five
search for the
trees.
5 trees. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if there'll be like a hold on. There might be like get like a quick Google search and find out what are the five trees in the Bible.
Nah, just keep on going. It might give you more references.
Okay, good point.
Indeed, there are 5 trees for you in paradise. They remain undisturbed summer and winter, and their leaves do not fall. Whoever would know them will not taste death.
Tell us, what is the kingdom of heaven like?
It is like a mustard seed, which is smaller than all seeds. But when it falls on plowed soil, it produces a large plant and becomes a shelter for the birds of the sky.
God's damn Jesus, why did you have to go so in depth with that? What is the kingdom of heaven like? It is like a mustard seed.
Mustard seed. Yeah, it's kind of
Smaller, it is. A mustard seed is small. It is smaller than all seeds. But when it falls on plowed soil, it produces a large plant and becomes sheltered for the birds in the sky.
that has echoes some of the magic beanstalk vibes.
Well, let's keep going.
Whom are your disciples like?
They are like children.
Okay, so since you didn't keep going, let's finish this up. So a mustard seed is a seed that is dropped, and whenever it does grow and it grows a mustard plant, it grows really, really big. And when it produces shelter for birds in the sky. I mean, like, I have got nothing.
So
I don't have anything for this.
So literature-wise, the mustard seed, for some reason there's an emphasis on the seed being small. So that could mean that it's possibly hard to find and that it is unexpected. Perhaps you would find Kingdom of Heaven in unexpected places where you wouldn't think it would be.
Let's go back to one of
Uh,
Jesus' first teachings in this gospel where he states that it is found within inside. That the kingdom of heaven is found and the kingdom of the Father is found inside of everybody. So let's look at that
Actually, hold on. That this passage also echoes the one about the person putting seeds on, thorns and then on good soil.
Mm-hmm.
It says when it falls on plowed soil, so not on like rocks and stuff where it's going to die, produces a large plant that becomes a shelter for the birds of the sky. So large shelter for the birds of the sky, that kind of echoes to me like angels, perhaps.
Birds and angels, they do have a lot of comparisons.
Yes, they fly and have wings.
Yes.
Some,
Obviously.
some birds have really good eyes, which apparently some angels have a ton of eyes, but whatever. Um, but yeah, there was also another thing that you were tying to as well. What was that? What are you trying to?
I think you actually you help prove the point that when you say it echoes the situation involving the seeds being planted. Remember, Jesus said that you plant your seeds where you know where they will succeed. Do not plant them
Right.
on the road because the birds will eat them. Do not plant them on the rocks because if you plant them on the rocks, then they will not grow. Do not plant them on the thorns, for the thorns will choke them and the worms will eat them. Plant them in the tilled soil where you know they will grow, like it says right here. If you plant the mustard seed on the right soil, it sprouts into something big that the birds take refuge in. So consider it in the aspect that heaven and paradise is found individually inside of everybody else. This is found individually inside of everybody. Because it is found inside of everybody, that means everybody has their own personal heaven. And to fully
And
be able to achieve that, we have to be able to plant the seeds somewhere.
and the fact that it's a seed and not like an already ginormous, he doesn't just say the kingdom of heaven is like a ginormous mustard plant that shelters birds in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
He said that it's a seed, so that also emphasizes beginnings, which is what we were talking about in one of the earlier the earlier sayings as well, is that you need to uh, you will be you will not die if you stand in the beginning
Right.
instead of the end.
I think
So
that's important to think about when it comes into this idea. I think it really goes against Christian belief systems, which is why this is probably not in the Bible. And because I think the Gospel of Thomas would wake a bunch of Christians up and they can realize that, hey, heaven is found inside of yourself. It is not found inside of the church, nor is it found inside of your belief. I think that's why Jesus got mad at Thomas when Thomas said, "Teacher," Jesus says, "I'm not your teacher. These are things that you yourself should be able to understand and come to. I should not have to teach you anything." I think it's contradictory to the church's ideology that Jesus is the truth, and only in the belief in him can you find that truth. It seems like Jesus didn't like to be compared to the idea that he is the truth. Not like him and his being is the truth, but what he is trying to convey to the people is what is true and what is not. And I guess you could say that if you want to understand the truth, you have to understand Jesus, not just believing in him. And I think it's even more telling when you look at faith, when you look at Christians. A lot of them think they know the truth just because they believe in Jesus, but they don't. They're ignorant to that truth. They're very ignorant. They think that because they believe in Jesus, it means they're true, but that doesn't mean you understand what Jesus said. And unfortunately, the Bible only has very loose ideas of what is true and what is not.
Well, I would say has a lot of complicated ideas that people either don't understand or don't try to understand, or a mixture of both.
Well, I mean, like, I have my own critique of Jesus' teachings, which is when he says love one another, but then he also says only through me shall you know the truth. I have my own issues with what Jesus preached, but I think we can kind of agree that what he's saying here is that to find heaven is to be able to plant yourself and plant your seeds where you'll know they'll grow. Plant it to where you know you'll strive and do well. And that heaven is found within.
Yeah, I think that's right.
For the birds of the sky.
Whom are your disciples like?
They are like children who have made their homes in a field which is not theirs. When the owners of the field come, they will say, "Grant our field back to us." They then disrobe before them in order to grant their field, that is, to give it back to them. For this reason, I say that if the owner of a house knows that a thief is coming, he will start watching before he comes, and will not let him get through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. Keep watch then against the world. Gird up your loins with great strength, lest the robbers find a way to come to you. For you will find the advantage you are looking for. Let there be a man of understanding among you. When the produce ripened, he came swiftly with a sickle in his hand and reaped it. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear.
Okay.
Oh, there's a lot to unpack with that one.
So he says again, whoever has ears, let him hear. So that's the second time that he said that quote.
They are like children who have made their homes in fields, a field which is not theirs. When the owners of the field have come, they will say, "Grant our field back to us." They then disrobe before them in order to grant their field, that is, to give it back to them. For this reason, I say that if the owner of a house knows that a thief is coming, he will start watching before he comes, and will not let him get through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. Keep watch against the world. Oh boy, lots to unpack with this quote. You can kind of think of this as Jesus painting the disciples as negative to a degree. It might be a bit of a foreshadow that maybe even the disciples didn't fully understand Jesus' teachings, which I think is like said somewhere. That the disciples were confused on what Jesus was teaching. And then we have, "Grind up your loins with great strength, lest the robbers find a way to come to you. For you will find an advantage you are looking for. Let there a man of understanding among you. When the produce ripened, he came swiftly with a sickle in his hand and reaped it. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear."
Okay.
Made their homes in a field which is not theirs. There's so many different interpretations of this is the problem. Because you can view it like the disciples are not here to spread my word, but to spread confusion. But it
No,
is
I don't think so.
okay. Well, then rebuttal it.
So, in a field which is not theirs. So, in this scenario, the disciples and the owner of the field come, they will say, "Grant our field back to us." Okay. Jesus doesn't necessarily say that it's his field, but that the disciples are on some sort of borrowed land in some shape or form. This is a lot to pack. Can you go to the right ones? Okay, I don't know why they disrobe, because that's strange.
They disrobe them before then they strip them down.
If the owner of a house knows that the thief is coming, he will start watching. This goes everywhere. I hate this. Because he goes from a scenario where there's a field, and then goes to a scenario where there's a house and an intruder, then goes back to a scenario where there's a field.
So there's an idea that you can say that this is talking about the disciples were here to basically redo Judaism. And that's why they are in a field that is not their own. Their beliefs are not what the Jewish people believed in, because the Jewish people say that Jesus is the Messiah. And it is not what, or the Christians say Jesus is the Messiah. I don't know. I really fucking don't. This is a hard quote to come up with. But if you want, we can take a quick break and you can think on this a little bit. Because I really have to pee.
Okay, break time.
Okay. Before we take a longer break, I want to get over this. I want to get done with this quote first. We won't take a long break, but just a
I
quick one.
think it definitely has something to do with the disciples and the relation between disciples and Jesus. I think it's like,
Oh crap! Hold on.
okay.
Okay. Now I'm back. Sorry, someone knocked on my door. Anyways.
I think it has to do with how the disciples are behaving around Jesus and his teachings. Because I think what's happening is, in at least in the metaphor, um, the disciples are entering a field which is not their own. So let's say it's Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
They Jesus is looking at the disciples as thieves, which are trying to, uh, I think, take some sort of produce. The reason I say that is because after have there's the house metaphor. Jesus then says that the person with the sickle has to reap what they sow swiftly, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think and then this also obviously correlates with the entire metaphor with the mustard seed being part of the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
So I think what's happening is the disciples are looking and trying to notate, the kingdom of heaven and Jesus, and they're trying to basically, in some sense, replicate and slash or steal whatever Jesus has going on, and Jesus is extremely wary of that, and he's watching the disciples.
I think you
Uh,
might be right on that, because there is, like, the Gospel of Judas that says that, the disciples are evil in a sense, but I actually really do kind of agree with that idea that there are a lot of, like, there's a lot of different beliefs or different not ideas. I think I agree with the idea that the disciples are planting seeds in a field that is not their own, because they are not preaching what Jesus said. And I think that the fact that the books were all submitted anonymously, if they were submitted by the disciples, the books might have very well branched away from Jesus's actual teachings. This is just a hard one to decipher, because for me the reason this is difficult is because it seems like it can apply to multiple different groups. It could be the disciples talking about, planting, or they're in a field that, it was like the Jewish people. This was originally Judaism, and now it's becoming an entirely different religion because of Jesus. And it's just kind of this really odd situation that it's in, because it could be talking about the Jews, it could be talking about the disciples being ignorant, Jesus even thinking of his own disciples ignorant, which I don't really think that's too far from the truth. I say that if an owner of a house knows that the thief is coming, he will start watching. Before he comes, he will not let him get through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods and keep watch then against the world. Oh, sorry. I'm going to pull OBS up over here.
and then what's the line after that again? It has to be the metaphor with the
And
seed.
then grind up your loins with great strength, lest the robbers find a way to come to you, for you will find the advantage you are looking for. Let there a man of understanding among you. When the produce ripened, he came swiftly with a sickle in his hand, and he reaped it. Whoever has ears, let there a man of understanding among you. When the produce ripened, he came swiftly with a sickle in his hand and reaped it. Whoever has ears, let him hear.
I get it now. Okay.
I think I'm starting to
So
get it.
Yeah, so what actually happened, so it says when the produce ripened, he came swiftly with the sickle in his hand and reaped it. That's not that's not the farmer doing that. That's the robber doing that. So what he's basically saying is that he has a field that's his own. He has lots of produce that's his own. That's the metaphorical kingdom of heaven. And what the disciples are doing is they are stealing the kingdom of heaven away with the sickle as like robbers.
But so the disciples are trying to steal the kingdom of heaven, for you will find the advantage you are looking for. Let there a man of understanding among you.
Yeah, so if they understand what Jesus is saying. Yeah.
They understand what Jesus is saying. Nine. When the produce has ripened, and he came swiftly with the sickle in his hand, he reaped it. Whoever. This is such a confusing quote. This is like such a headache. When they disrobe them in order to grant their fields. Okay, hold on. Let me relook. I'm gonna reread this. They are like children who have made their homes in fields which is not theirs. When the owner of the fields come, they will say, "Grant our field back to us." They then disrobe them. Wait, okay, I think I'm reading it wrong. The children, the disciples, then disrobe them in order to grant their field. That is to give it back to them. What? I don't understand. Okay. Fields back to us. Who disrobes who? Do the children disrobe the person who has the field? Or is it the
Children's are the one with the field. No, they're not. Never mind.
No, it's not the children who have the field. It's the fucking who disrobes who? They disrobe them in order to grant their field. Okay, in order to grant their field. They disrobe the person who owns the field in order to grant themselves the field. That is to give it back to them. No, it's not what it is.
Disrobe the children?
Disrobe the children in order to grant their field. That is to give it back to them. For this reason I say that
Is Jesus a pedo?
No, I don't think that's what Jesus is getting.
Jesus wants to disrobe children.
Okay, yep, let's just read it at the most point blank concepts, and boom, that's what we get. Jesus is a pedophile. Confirmed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why all the Catholic priests would do those things.
This is... Oh my god, I can't believe you just said that.
They disrobe them in order to grant their field. That is to give it back to them. For this reason I say... Okay, I don't understand what Jesus is saying there. That is to give it back to them. Unless he is implying that the children made their homes in a field that is not their own, and then they disrobed somebody and took the field back from them. So, because it was originally theirs, why would they break it?
No, the person that owns the field disrobed the children.
Or the disciples. We'll use the disciples to prevent looking like pedophiles. So he disrobes the disciples.
And so the people that originally owned the field have restored their ownership of said field.
And for this reason, I say that the owners of a house knows that... Okay, so let's just go off of that. That he disrobes the children, and he makes it to where his field is now his, not the disciples. I say that if an owner of a house knows that the thief is coming, he will start watching. He'll start watching, he'll start being skeptical when he knows the children are coming. Before he comes, he will not let him get through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. Keep watch, than against the world. He will not get through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. He will not let him get through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. Keep watch then against the world. Before he comes, he will not let him get through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. Keep watch then against the world. What does that mean?
Well, I can tell you what it means in a literal sense.
What?
Don't let people steal, burglarize your house.
Keep watch then against the world. So okay, I think it might be a grammatical error. There should probably be a fucking comma there. Keep watch, comma, then against the world. For he comes, he will not let him get through. So like he won't, he knows the disciples are coming to come make their homes in his field and steal his goods.
I'm just like, yes, this is why we are confused. There's a grammatical error. That is it.
Through into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. Keep watch, then, against the world. I just don't know what this means. I'm stumped. Keep watch, then, against the world. Okay, maybe let's keep going on. Maybe more context. Grind up your loins with great strength. Lest the robbers
Gird. Gird up your loins.
Gird up your loins with great strength. Lest the robber, okay, period. Lest the robbers find a way to come to you. Okay, now you can use commas. To you. For you will find the advantage you were looking for. Okay. I seriously don't know what this means. Like, it's like, it shoots itself in 16 different directions and then just, I literally feel like Jesus is a teacher who can't get his message across and he keeps leaving it open-ended. I feel like I'm back in college trying to decipher coding. Gird up your loins.
Isn't it hilarious that the person that self-proclaims that they are the truth can only say the truth in
the most
cryptic
vague
messages.
fucking metaphors. I am the truth. Here's the most vague fucking metaphor ever.
I'm just saying, if you had a superpower and then there was a butt tied to it, that's, I swear, like a fucking genie granted this wish. I wish to only say things that are true. Okay, but you can only say it in really confusing metaphors. Snap.
Really vague ass fucking metaphors. Very vague. Extremely vague. The advantage you were looking for. Let there a man of understanding among you. Let there be a man of understanding among you. Let there a man. I think some of it is Jesus. It's just translation error. What does that mean? Let
Jesus
there a man of
pleading.
understanding above you. Let there be a man. I'm like.
Jesus is pleading that the curse that the genie set upon him will be broken at some point. Can somebody please understand me for once?
For 1 fucking second. Help, I can only speak in metaphors that make no sense. Jesus speaking in the most incoherent metaphors, the disciples. Oh my god, this is just some interesting shit.
Jesus is like, please, somebody, actually, I need help. Can you please understand me? Hey, what's the kingdom of heaven? So it's like this mustard seed, right? Oh my God.
It's like a mustard seed. Is the truth only speaks in vague metaphors. I need to clip that and make that a YouTube short. Is the truth when you speak it only from the most vague fucking metaphors. I can't. I don't understand what he's saying. Gird up your loins with great strength, lest the robber... Okay, I don't understand. The disciples at first were planting seeds in a field that wasn't their own. Now they're robbers. Okay, hold on. Maybe they're just two different analogies that he accidentally said in one. I've done that before. Let's look at it like that. Okay. They are like children who have made their homes in a field which is not theirs. When the owners of the field come, they will say, "Grant our field back to us." They then disrobe before them. The disciples get naked in order to grant their field.
Okay, then it says owner of a house, so skip that.
Okay.
We are naked, bare butt naked in a field. Children are bare butt naked in a field, so let's keep on going until it goes back to a
But
field.
how does that, in order to grant their field? Okay, I get it. They disrobe before them is a sign of submission. This is how they're granting their field back. They're submitting to that person. This is your field, we respect it. And then that is to give it back to them. That they are giving their field back.
Did you Google that?
Can I Google what?
Did you Google that?
No.
Disrobing is a sign of submission.
It's symbolic. If somebody just disrobes before you, other than other implications, it's a sign of submission.
There is Rule 32 everywhere in this video. Okay, 34. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, 34. I keep on saying 32. I thought it was 32. It's Rule 34.
I don't know, Gabe. Maybe it's a sign. There's a lot of twos. Okay, marching. For this reason, I say that if the owner of the house... Okay, so this is done. What he's trying to say... Okay, that's done. The disciples, they disrobe. They give the field back. They're like, here, we are sorry for planting our seeds here. Now, for this reason, for the fact of submission, I say that if an owner of a house knows that a thief is coming, he will start watching. Okay, now let's look at it. Let's look at it in a different angle now.
Okay, now Jesus is stalking bare butt naked children in a field.
No, that's not the analogy here. Marching. No, Jesus is stalking bare butt naked children in the field. No.
What kind of Cards Against Humanity bullshit am I coming up with right now?
It reminds me of this one card I got in Cards Against Humanity that literally said, what can you find a lot of in heaven? And it was poorly timed Holocaust jokes.
Oh my god, no.
For us to be bare butt naked children.
Okay. Keep on going.
For this reason, I say... Now, I think we have to break this up into two different quotes. Maybe to compare it, we have to come to an understanding of the two different
let's go. Let's keep on going to the field. So press play or whatever.
No, we'll skip. We gotta read it.
Do the
First,
skip.
this reason I say that if an owner of a house knows that the thief is coming, he will start watching. So he knows that somebody is coming to try to steal his stuff. Before he comes, he will not let him get through into his house of his domain to carry away his goods. Yes, before those thieves come, he will stand guard and say, "No, thou shalt not come into my house. This is me house."
Okay, skip.
Keep watch, then against the world. That's what it stumps me. Keep watch, then against the world. Okay, keep watch against everybody. Be skeptical of everybody, including the disciples. Gird up your loins with great strength, lest the robbers find a way to come to you, for you will find the advantage you are looking for. Yes, if they come to you, and not for your loins or your goods, then you will have the advantage to defend them away. Let there be a man of understanding above you, and then here we go back to the vague metaphors that have nothing to do with the original point. When the product ripened, he came swiftly with a sickle. In his hand he reaped it. Whoever has ears... I get the analogy at the beginning. Here is goods. Here is products.
Produce.
You will find the advantage. Let there be a man of understanding among you. That's what doesn't confuse. It makes sense that you gird up your loins with great strength, or the robbers find a way to come to you. for you will find the advantage you are looking for. So if they come to you, you will find a way to defend them. Hold on. I think I might have been able to figure it out. Crack this awful metaphor. I think about it in the sense of when it says understanding. Because I think about it in a way that I have when I debate Christians on live streams. When you go to a Christian to try to debate them, it's like you are trying to rob their belief. The disciples are planting seeds in a field that is not their own. They are trying to establish a belief in somebody else's field. Therefore, since they are doing as much, the farmer disrobes the disciples by proving the non-existent, or by proving against the disciples. Therefore, they are disrobed. Their knowledge, their understanding is gone because the owner of the field knew better. Because of much, it goes into the aspect of the saying before. For this reason, I say that if an owner of a house knows that there's a thief coming, he will start watching. If a Christian knows an atheist is going to come at their belief systems, they will already prepare for how to defend against that person. Before he comes, and will not let him get through. They will not let them get into their belief or their idea or their head in what they follow. Into the house of his domain to carry away his goods. The goods are your mustard seeds. The goods is your heaven. The goods are your belief. Keep watch then against the world, because everybody wants to push their beliefs onto you. Gird up your loins with great strength. Hold on to your beliefs, lest the people who come to rob you of your belief they will not be able to, for you will find the advantage you are looking for. Let there a man of understanding among you is what backs that up. Be a man of understanding. Understand the other person, for that is the only way. Just like this person has to understand that there are robbers coming and what they're coming to steal, you have to understand what people are coming to do. People are not looking to come to show you the truth. They're looking to come to spread their belief into your field, like Jesus says the disciples are doing. They're planting seeds that are in fields that are not their own. It's not their business to plant the seeds in other people's fields. But the disciples think that it is. That is why Jesus made that analogy. And then it says, when the produce ripened, he came swiftly with a sickle in his hand and reaped it. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. When the produce was ripened, I don't fucking know. But I think I have a point on all the other points. It's all this planting seeds in somebody else's field is an analogy for somebody else trying to put their belief systems into somebody else's head. You disrobe those people because you need to hold on to what you believe. But just like we should also all try to, because people are not coming to your fields to discuss with you. They're coming into your fields to plant their own seeds. That's why I think I hate Christians when they say we're planting seeds. No, you're not. That's not what Jesus wanted you to do. The disciples wanted you to do that, not Jesus. Boom. You tell me what you think.
I don't know. I think that was in the correct direction. I don't know if that should be the conclusion, but I don't have anything better right now. So
I think
it's I'll have to. Is there a way to just like copy that quote somewhere? Because
Yeah,
I'll have to.
we can. I can.
I want to put that. I want to put that in a notepad. Just like Discord me that entire
quote.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. I think I will end the live here because we're at like a pretty good stopping point, and it's
Sure.
like 2:35. Unironically, we've only been doing this for 2 hours, but it certainly feels like it's been longer. But
And we only got 10 minutes on a 47-minute video.
Yeah, I'm like, we are not getting this done anytime soon. But I
Cool.
think we'll try to aim for next Saturday. Or next Saturday or Sunday we'll try to aim for. Does that sound good to you, Marching?
It would have to be in soon on the 4th. It would have to be like around this time on the 4th, I think.
Well, we'll plan around it next week. But
Okay.
thank you all for coming. I hope you all have a lovely day. Next time we're going to be doing this in the evening because most people just are not on in the middle of the day. Let's be real here. So everyone have a good night, and I thank you guys for coming out.